mean?
Can I just say, though, like, I'm so done with cheesy church merch.
Come on.
Yes.
I am done with the scriptures on the bottom, everything,
Bless
and
it.
never
Come
put a
on.
date on
Where's
your
my white
merch shirt. I'm
hanky?
telling you, like, I am so, like, the world looks at us and laughs. But then when people pop off and they try to clap back on the $50, I'm like, how much you pay for that essential shirt?
Mm-hmm.
How much you pay for that shirt at Zara? How much you know? I'm like, that's about $50. Except what we're doing is we're not making a profit. We're pointing it towards these orphans.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the pod at ROLC. Thank you so much for joining us. If it's your first time, leave us a comment, leave us a like, subscribe, do all those things that all the YouTubers ask you to do and all that good stuff. Hey, today's episode is going to be a lot of fun, something a little bit different. I got a couple guests with me today. One you already know. She's with us often, the ever lovely Mikala. Thank you so much for being with us.
Thanks
Welcome.
for having me again.
Welcome back. We had the running joke that you were like, I want to be on the podcast, but we had to
No.
like keep interviewing you, and you're here.
I know. I was like going through like all these interview process. I feel like just to get on the pod with
And
my
then I forgot to
husband.
tell you, like, oh yeah, you're good.
And he was like, "Oh yeah, by the way."
We'd be sitting at the house, and she'd be like, how'd my interview go? I'm like, what are you talking about? She's like, my interview for the podcast.
Like,
I'm like, oh yeah. I was
You've
like,
been
yeah,
like
you're on.
interviewing me for like weeks. I'm like, am I ever gonna get this or what?
Yeah, you're on.
I would just like to say that the people have spoken. They want me on the pod.
That's probably in the comments, right?
Yes,
It has
it's
to
the
be.
ones that he doesn't read, but like
Okay.
definitely.
People are like,
We
we want more
want
We
Mikala.
Mikala.
want more. Get him out of here. We want more first. So you're back with us. And then also today, very special guest. We got Pastor Chris Estrada with us today. Thank you for being with us, sir.
Absolutely, 100%.
Man, this is awesome. I am so glad, one, that you're here, but two, that we had some time to do this. It's been
Yeah.
like a nonstop 24 hours of you
Yeah,
being
it
here.
has.
Somebody snapped me on the way in. They were like, we're getting ready for team night. I'm like, yeah, me too. We're headed to do a podcast with Pastor Chris. And he was like, you guys are not letting him rest. I'm like, none.
Are you
None.
kidding?
We
Stop.
only have him for this amount of time. Let's just
Let's
pack
make
his
the most
schedule
of
full.
it. Listen, if you're either called to this or not,
right.
and you're built for it or you're not.
Yeah.
And so I love it. I love this kind of stuff. I'm a people person. I would rather be around people than stuck in my hotel room.
Yeah.
For sure.
So
For sure.
I get it.
I respect that. Well, thank
And
you.
you're in Harrison. There's not much to do, anyways.
Well, you know what? I saw an organic store. I was like, oh, I could vibe in there for a little bit.
It's a good story.
Was
Is
it?
it?
Was
Yeah.
it open?
I thought. I don't know. Is it?
I don't know. There's a lot of things that on Sundays they close.
Right across from, like, if your hotel, if you pull out, it's like a little
Yes,
plaza.
that's the one. And I
Yeah.
made sure it wasn't a dispensary.
Yeah,
so,
no.
because,
Yes.
organic.
Nature's
you
Wonder.
gotta be careful.
Nature's Wonder, Chris Ross, shout out if you're
Yes.
watching, you
Oh,
know
Very
who you
incredible.
are.
You
So
you know these people.
this is actually a
Yes.
guy, he used to be a customer of mine.
Okay.
I worked at a bike shop. He was a customer there, but so they've
I
got,
feel like you've lived 9 lives, bro.
Honestly,
I've done everything.
Seriously, at
Everything.
lunch, I'm like, oh, he raced dirt bike. Oh, basketball. Oh, golf.
We've done
like,
everything.
yeah.
We've done everything.
I wish I could be like you.
But yeah, it's a great store.
Okay.
It's an awesome
All
store.
right.
So check it out, hit it up. But hey, today's episode is going to be a lot of fun. We're going to talk about some stuff.
Yeah.
But first things first that I want to do is that by the time this goes live, some people are already going to know because you've been with us last night for men's night.
Yep.
And then we had regular church this morning.
Mhm.
Awesome. Phenomenal. BT dubs on
Mhm.
that. I'll be laughing about boat talks forever. That's so funny.
I figure
If
in
you
the
know,
South,
you know.
if you know, you know. You gotta. I'm not gonna say nothing. You gotta go watch the sermon.
yes.
It's just like, look, I know everybody in the church. Like, I'm here. So I know everybody that's got lip filler. I know everybody and I'm just like,
You come in different. We
And
all
they-
know.
we
we
all
know. We
Walking
know.
around like you sucked on a fish's
Yeah,
lips. for a
we
little-
know.
Or
Got
when
got
your
ice
eyebrows are
pack on
up.
there.
Yeah.
Because you're not
Way
excited
up.
to be here.
Yeah,
but-
we know who you are. And then after this, we're headed to team night. And,
Yeah.
dude, team nights are so much fun.
They are.
I love it.
They're awesome. But so if you were at team night, then you already know. But if not, and if you're listening on like Spotify or Apple, here's a great time for you to stop and
Yes.
switch over to YouTube because I got something special I want to show you.
Hey.
And they come in white, they come in
Let's
black.
Go.
We got brand new ROLC hats.
These are tough.
We've been getting asked about hats for a minute now, and honestly, we've been getting junk ones. Like,
What do you mean?
are you a hat guy?
Yeah.
Okay, so like a hat's got to fit right,
Absolutely.
and so we just been like, speaking of, by the way, today these shirts we'll get into it here in a little bit.
Yeah.
But $50 shirts.
Yeah.
Where we live.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh my gosh.
Yep.
He's gonna take so many home, and then we just like started selling them like crazy.
People
Like
had no
crazy.
problem.
Crazy.
Well, I also think the cause behind it is super motivating, and we'll
Yes.
unpack that later.
Yes,
but
for sure.
yes, I know $50 high price. But if you think about it, you go to Zara,
Oh yeah.
you go to PacSun, you go to the mall. Those are $50 T-shirts all day long and don't have any of the cool designs.
Yes.
Yeah.
Our designs are so fresh. We can compliment all the. It's hard for people to pick one.
Oh yeah, like I've already decided. Okay, if it's gonna be set back up at team night, I'm like, which other one do I need? Because I could also borrow this one.
You know what? I hear a lot of wives be like,
So,
"You get that one, and I'll
I'm
get
like,
this one."
Then we need a
Yeah.
third one to add.
Here's the truth. Obviously, I get all of them. I don't have any of them. My kids, my wife,
Yes.
yeah, everybody
my
steals them.
niece. I was in my house. My nieces are walking around in my. I'm like,
You're like,
"Where'd
wait
you
a
get
minute.
that?" They're
That's
like,
mine.
"Oh, life's funny."
Taking your
You know.
shirt.
Yeah.
The problem with the hats is that I was the one purchasing them, and I'm not like I'm a trucker kind of hat, but
Okay, but
I'm
it's
not.
different.
It's different.
It is different.
So-
You're also like Bangs LaRue right
I
now.
know Bangs
and
LaRue
so we don't
has
do
entered
hats.
the chat. So
Can I
I've
just
not,
say though, when Chelsea sent me all his pictures, Chelsea's on. Shout out to Chelsea, best assistant in the game.
Shout out
right?
Chelsea.
You look nothing.
Oh yeah.
like your picture.
She totally should have Facebook stalked me.
Okay. Yeah. I'm just like, I don't do that because I don't want to get in trouble. But at the same time, when I met you, I was like,
Wait a minute, this isn't the same girl.
you had black hair in the picture.
Yeah, it was really short, and I had glasses.
And you had glasses.
I had LASIK eye
Shout
surgery
out
done.
Lasix.
What? Is
Yeah,
this a thing?
changed my life.
She just
I
had them
probably
done
should do
for her
it.
30th birthday. That was like her big that we just did.
Yeah,
Happy birthday.
thank you.
And so
in
she
November.
was like, back in November, she's like, let's get it done.
Yes,
What day?
22nd. When's yours?
17.
Whoa.
Ooh.
November babies.
Birthday
Where-
buddies.
Yeah.
And so she's like, I'm tired of being blind. Let's
Okay.
do it. And
I
so
respect it.
went and got
Changed
LASIK
my
done.
life.
New person.
Wow. Would have done it sooner.
Oh, absolutely.
I haven't
Like
done
I
it.
regret not doing it sooner in life.
I have contacts. But I'm just like, now they have this like non-invasive. I don't know why we're talking about
I see
LASIK.
2015 right now,
What?
which is better than 2020. I didn't even know that was a thing, by the way.
You
So.
can see better than 2020?
Yeah.
Fall hit here, and we're back roading.
Yeah.
And she's like, look at the leaves.
I'm like, can you see this? Is this what you've always
She's
seen?
like, don't you see that trophy buck? 3.7 miles away.
For real. Yeah.
So
I'm
they
like,
were
yeah.
saying that people that see 2015 are people that, one, only have had LASIKs done, or they're just like crazy
Wow.
superhumans.
And they're all pilots.
But they
Goated.
all see colors more vibrant. And so that's why I was like, I told you, those
Okay.
trees were not always that color.
Okay.
So yeah, I feel like colors are very like vibrant to me, and things are like really, really crisp.
You're moving the needle with me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. My wife's like, just go get LASIK. And I'm like,
The worst part about it, so like I'm there, and I mean, technically, if you were like had nobody in your life, I think you can drive yourself home. I mean, they don't recommend it, but like you can see. But for what 10 seconds, you go completely blind.
What?
Like you're laying in the chair.
Oh yeah,
I don't know. About
And so this is
see,
the
no,
part
I
everybody
don't know
like.
about that.
Everybody's like, nah, I don't want that.
you're awake for all of it.
So you're
What?
awake.
Nope.
They
Not
give
me.
They give you Xanax, and they're
Well,
like,
wait a minute.
he's back
No, I'm
in.
kidding.
That-
He's back in.
Now we're talking.
I mean,
I mean, let's do it.
How many? And how often?
just one.
She never
That's
taken
all
one.
you needed.
She never taken one. And so then the nurse lady, she's like, do you want a half or a full? And I'm cheering her on, like, do a full. Like, what's the, you're not going to
As
do
you
this.
should.
again.
And I'm
Do
like,
the
I'm
full.
super nervous. She's like, I'm gonna give you the full. I'm like, okay. Bet.
So
He's just sitting there like,
I
whatever you
would.
want,
I was
my
like, this is great.
yeah, so they put her in a chair. They like start doing stuff, and they're like, okay, here's where you're about to go blind. We're going to spin your chair. And so then they take her, flip her, and then they take your eyelid and like cut it, lay it back,
right. Yes. Okay.
do
I've
the
heard
laser
this.
thing, and then flip it right back. But your people were great.
My people were great. The doctor was actually a super Christian guy and
Okay.
like played.
Plays drums at his church.
Yeah, plays drums at his church and stuff. And he asked me in my consultation, like, what my favorite band was right now, like, worship-wise. And so, in surgery, was playing
No
worship
kidding.
music for me. While,
great
and
is
so,
that?
like, honestly, like, it was a great experience because it's a total freak-out moment because you're blind and you're like, what if it never comes back? What if this was the last time and I saw a doctor? That was my last view.
See, I'm a
So-
risk taker in other ways. I don't know if I could do that. I'm fine with putting a little piece of plastic in my eye every day.
And now I'm just living free.
Wow.
Living free.
Someone's bragging over here.
Yeah, you know.
She's a big deal. Anyways, however we got there, I don't know. But buy some hats.
Yes.
That's the moral of the LASIKs.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Buy hats.
Buy hats.
And if you're at team night, then you've already seen these. But if you are not at team night, this episode's going to be airing whatever Thursday. Caden, what is this Thursday's date? Find it out. Let me know. We're going to let them know. That coming Sunday at church will be your first opportunity
today?
to buy these hats. I don't even know what today is.
I'm not sure. Man.
Last week was Easter, so that was
31, right?
420, and now 427.
I don't know if there was 31 days.
I don't know.
or not,
Whatever it
but-
is.
Second.
let's see. Hold on. May 1st
Oh, May 1st.
is Thursday.
The hat's officially
So next Sunday is May 4th.
May 4th.
May the 4th.
May the 4th be with you.
I've already seen cringy things of like, okay, social media at churches, are we going all in for this or are we holding back?
Somebody's gonna do it.
Oh, absolutely.
Somebody's got
Look,
to do it.
people went crazy over Easter just being 420, and that's something I'm not getting into here.
Yo,
But like, if they're going that,
I thought about it.
then they're doing for sure May the
multiple
4th.
times.
Yeah.
They're for sure doing May the 4th.
Everybody's got to pass. But I thought about it, and I was like, "He is risen." I thought about so many jokes. I told our senior, I was texting our senior pastor, like, "What do you think about this?" He's like, "You need to stop."
No. It's going to be like 20.
I was texting another pastor. It wasn't our senior pastor.
It's going to be like 2020, and everybody's vision statement for the year is like 2020 vision. And then COVID hits, and nobody saw it coming. And we're like, who didn't hear God? Because you totally. So, anyways, on that, hats are going live. You can buy them next Sunday. Get on that. Also, one more thing that we're going to talk about a little bit here before we get into all this. Pastor Chris, this book, incredible.
Wow.
It's so good. I had read it years and years ago, and then a couple months ago we went on vacation, and I was like, I'm going to reread that book, and because I knew that you're coming, we reread through it. Such a good book. You talked about this to our men on Saturday night about just finishing and going through with it. So this book sold out this morning.
Yes.
Yeah, like
Crazy.
That. It was wild.
Crazy. I was telling people, like, get it. That is your book. That is the thing to have. So if you don't have it,
we're going to drop the link to
we'll
your
link
website.
your website
There we
in
go.
this
So people
episode
can
today.
go.
So
That's
do
real
that.
exciting. I mean, that is actually the first book I ever wrote.
Yeah.
And so it was a great test. Anybody who completes a book has my deepest respect because I'm such a type A when it comes to completing things. Like I want to finish. And a book is like, you got to find a stopping point or leave off. And it just bothered me for several months until when it was finally done. I was like, oh, thank God.
Completely.
The irony of it being finisher.
And how can you not finish a book on finishing? You know what I mean? And so I feel like most people actually do read it because they're like, man, that'd be a hypocrite. I'm reading a book about finishing. I can't even finish
Honestly,
it.
that was me. It's like, okay, I have to get it done.
Yeah. And I've actually had people, I mean, these are probably avid readers, but they finish the book in a day. It's not a big book, but I mean, it's deep enough to where you're catching something.
And that's honestly, I recommended it to a lot of men because I read it in a day. Like I had a full day. Yeah. We were just, I was on vacation. I'm like, I think I can do this book in a day. And sure enough, sit down and read it. It's an easy read. If you're a guy that doesn't read, which most guys don't, this is your book. So, so awesome book. Need to get on that. A couple things I want to talk about today while we got you here. Service has been great, and it's been so much fun just to be able to hang out with you. We'll talk about your shirts and some other things here as we get into this later on. But I want you to share with us just a little bit, over the last, starting last night and then this morning in service, you've been talking a lot about love has no limits. And you've been sharing just a little bit about that. And I know it's something really dear to your heart.
Absolutely.
When we first met you, you were YFN director, Pastor Chris.
Yeah.
And so you've had all these different things and all this different stuff that's going on.
Right.
And so now this is something that's kind of, what if I would, the main kind of forefront, the focus. Would you share just with a little bit of people watching that maybe have no idea about what this ministry is, of how they can...
You know what? I appreciate the question because I think a lot of people need to know about Love Has No Limits.
Absolutely.
But we rather journey the relational route, not necessarily the promotional route. And so that's probably why you haven't heard of it. But it is doing some incredible things, especially across America. But our footprint didn't start in the States. It actually started internationally. And I was sharing a little bit about that this morning, from standing in the office of the president of Honduras to the Dominican Republic to Nicaragua to Peru, which was our largest international footprint. We brought 10,000 missionaries from 43 different nations, 150 plus organizations represent, and we were just pounding ground. And right at the end of that campaign, we found ourselves in a conversation. I say we because I represent an incredible team. I'm one of 5 on the exec team. And then we've got directors and we've got just people spread all across the United States. So we carry the vision together. And so we found ourselves in this conversation with the vice president of another nation. And he was extending the national invite to us to make it the next nation after Peru. And so by this time, 4 nations in, we've got somewhat of a blueprint. We can not necessarily copy and paste, but we, in a sense, got familiar with the territory that we were being called into. And as soon as that Zoom ended, it was like the Spirit of God came into our conference room. And I mean, it was heavy. And we just were like, God, what is this? And God made it clear at that point. This was the end of 2018. I'm reassigning this vision. And we were like, okay, Lord, where do you want to go? It's obviously not Ecuador. So where do you want to go? And he said, I want to make an aggressive move on America. And we were like, cool. Where do you want to start? And he said, Los Angeles. And we were like, you mean like Tulsa, Dallas, Birmingham, somewhere in the South, somewhere Bible friendly, ministry saturated.
They're going to say, yes, hostile. We want you.
Yeah. And I was like, the whole team was just like, this doesn't necessarily make sense. And so God told us, he says, I want to give proof to America that I'm with her. And if this works in LA, it'll work anywhere. And so we quickly figured out we are going to have to like build the plane while we're flying it. Mm-hmm. And so we had to contextualize this vision as we were coming as missionaries now to our own nation. We didn't have a vision for this. This was in nobody's plans. We thought we would just amass mobilization efforts out of the developing nations into underdeveloped nations and just have a mass harvest that way. We didn't ever see America being like where we're running. So here we are. We set a date. We said, okay, God, we're going to do it. We're going to set a date. We're going to honor you. We're going to buy the URL, right? And we're going to honor you by putting it on the calendar. And so we set the date for July 2020. I'm just going to say this again in LA. Anybody remembers their history, July 2020. Now, I know everybody thinks COVID never happened, but in California, it happened. And I'm telling you.
I think there's still people that you say that date and they're like,
yeah,
they have like a twitch. Like
they do the Katy Perry,
yeah.
Like that. And so like there's all this intensity around it, and we're like, God, by March of that year, it's like everything's gone to a bucket of suck, and like nobody's got a plan. Nobody's lived through a pandemic. Nobody's lived through a current global crisis. Nobody's lived through it. So we don't have any idea what to do. So God's like, follow the cloud, and all He tells us literally is, I'll be with you. That was the only solid prophetic word that we had as a team. I'll be with you. And just one strategy after another, God's like, I'm going to soften the city. Just do what I tell you to do. First one was eliminate medical debt. And so I'm making a long story short. We watched God dissolve $47 million worth of medical debt for 23,000 families that live twice below the poverty line. They got letters in the mail saying your medical debt's been dissolved, no strings attached, basically. And this is done as a collaborative effort of the local church in the region, from LA all the way to the Inland Empire down to South Cal to Calabasas in the north. And basically they had the churches on there. Like, if you need anything, contact, Pastor so-and-so at the church. Yeah. And then they live 3 miles down the road from you, right? So our heart is really to platform the local church, not ask the local church to platform us. This is why we don't put our branding or our label on anything. We always say it's time to lay down our labels, our logos, and our egos. And it's really time to platform the local church. It's the most sustainable vehicle on the planet, right? You look at anything, when the world was in crisis, when there was wars, everybody left. Guess who stayed? It was the church. When there was diseases taking place and we didn't have the medical science that we have today, when everybody would leave, guess who would stay? It'd be the church. When the world wanted better schools, the church gave it to it. When the world wanted a better system of government, it's always been the church, right? And so here we are, we're watching eliminating medical debt. Then we step into what we have quickly become aware of, that this is a true tragedy, is the overburdened child welfare system. In America nationally, there's 240,000+ kids in the system of foster care or adoptive lanes. Let me just put this in perspective. We have 240,000 kids in America that are in this system. We all have over 275,000 churches recognized by the IRS. We should have solved this problem a long time ago. And the largest network of a child welfare system is Los Angeles. So we went in, and I'm making a long story short. You're talking about 2 years worth of journeying into a small moment of conversation. But we started generating leads. We just put fire on the vision, created an asset package that people could use as digital assets. And all of a sudden, we were generating leads right into the system that's been historic. There's never been another effort like this. And it's continued for the last 4.5 years. We then went into all 35 state penitentiaries and planted a church in all 35 and then turned them over as campuses to a church within a 10-mile radius. We gave out millions of pounds of food every weekend because Los Angeles, with the school shut down, had food deserts. We did medical brigades. We did GIK, your beds, your fridges, your dressers. We were closing cases before they got into the system.
Wow.
We hosted a historic men's conference. We had 100,000 men complete a 30-day challenge with the collaboration with Braveco, and they did 30 days of authentic biblical manhood study.
Wow.
And we did all this to soften the heart, but really we wanted to go for harvest, because at the core we do want to solve the crises, but we also want to meet the eternal need that you need the salvation that's found in Jesus. And so we recognize LA is a different city. Come on, it's different in Arkansas.
It's a different world.
It's different in Dallas, where I'm from. It's different, just like every city's different. And so we thought we could go get the top worship leaders and Christian artists and have a night, but the only people that turn up to that are Christians.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
So I don't want to waste God's resources and all this momentum to fill up a stadium with people who already know the Lord, and we take pictures ourselves.
Sure,
and
say that we were
and
there.
and we act like we did something. We did absolutely nothing. So we said we need to get radical. The first step was the traditional outreach model is the found serving the lost. And we thought, what if the lost and found could serve together in a safe space called serve centers that are AKA local churches? What would motivate them to come? Well, then we've got to get a tier 1 influencer, a global icon that's going to be in the stadium, and they have to be a Christian. Well, you and I both know that is a short list.
Right.
And then it's like, and who's that? And not afraid to share their faith. And now we're scratching names off the short list. And then it's who's all of that and has availability. Well, we're 47 days out, and we had put 6 figures on the Memorial Coliseum, which is the iconic Olympic Stadium, and we had locked it. The problem is another stadium across the street had inked the contract, minutes before we did. And they can't have 2 mass events at the same time because the city's traffic will collapse.
Can't handle it.
So they had to dissolve our contract. So now we've been casting vision for a stadium. We don't have a stadium. 4 hours later, we get a call from SoFi Stadium. That's the brand new Rams Charger Stadium. I think it was a $5 billion stadium. This thing was built for the gospel. And so, this is in the middle of COVID. Everything's empty. There's no tours. There's no mass gatherings. It's LA. No, this is in the middle of a Delta variant, rolling restrictions. Do we gather? Do we not? It's all this craziness. And so SoFi calls and says, hey, we want you. We want to know, we've been watching everything, medical debt, food distribution, foster care. We love it. We want to associate with you guys. Would you be willing to use our venue? Do you guys want to use SoFi? And we were like, yeah.
Let me think.
As a matter of fact.
Don't have to pray about that.
Yeah.
And so they said, well, we have to call the first 2 people in line, but we really want to make sure that you get this. And so they were going to call people. The first person they had to call was Taylor Swift and her team. And they had to walk Taylor with our help through all of the vision. Here's what's going on. Here's the medical debt. Here's the orphans. Here, and just all this move, right? And Taylor, will you move your date? She goes, absolutely. I'll move her date. And Taylor moves her date. That does not happen in the industry. If anyone's done stadiums or anything, that does not happen. So I was like, I became an instant Swiftie.
Especially for her too.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, she's the queen of the music industry.
I'm sure
now.
she's watching this
Absolutely.
episode. So
Yeah.
thank you,
Taylor. Thank
you
we
so
owe
much.
you.
Yeah.
And then the next person was Kenny Chesney. Hey, Kenny, here's what's going on. Walk him through. Kenny, will you move your date? He's like, absolutely. I'll move my date. And so they called us, hey, love has no limits. You want to? We're like, yeah,
Yeah.
And so they gave it to us that no one will ever pay what we paid for that stadium. We had to sign an NDA that we could not privately or publicly disclose the amount.
That's
it was
incredible.
a gift.
That's
it was
awesome.
a real God thing.
That's awesome.
But then we're like, okay, we got a stadium, but who's going to stand in this thing? And how are we going to motivate lost people to serve with the church? And so we're praying, who's a tier 1 influencer, global icon, it's a Christian that's available and not afraid to share their faith? Well, I think it was something 40 days out. One of our team members gets an anonymous FaceTime. It's Justin Bieber. And he's got tears coming down his face. And he's saying, this is exactly what God spoke to me. And he's calling us. And he's like, I've been watching the food distribution, the medical debt, the foster care, prisons, all this stuff. And he said, number one, he said, I love what you're doing. Can I serve your vision? This is just Bieber. Can I serve your vision? Number 2, if you don't have your lineup, can I help you build your lineup? And we were like, JB, anytime your friends want to be our friends, we feel God about
I drop everything.
yeah. And so he, with his help, we told him, hey, this has got to be a family-friendly show. This is a faith-based night. The narrative can't be what normal what that industry would produce. We want that. And he's like, absolutely. Like he has started a genuine journey, steps towards Jesus. I understand people can throw stones at some of the stuff he posts or says, but the truth is we're all working it out.
Absolutely.
Just not all of us are working out on the world stage in the spotlight.
It's true.
And we have a lot of opinions, but you don't know what it's like to be, everything in your life is watched since you were a preteen.
Sure.
So the guy's had a journey, but I can tell you he has made significant steps towards Jesus. And so I'm not advocating for that world. It's a fine line I have to walk here because the parents are like, well, what do you mean? And I'm like, I didn't know any of his songs until I was sitting in a room with him. I was like, oh,
You didn't have the Bieber fever?
I didn't know anything. All I knew was this kid's cool. He's apparently got a lot of influence. Heard the name. I think I might have saw the movie because one of my college students made me watch it. Like, whatever, right? But his heart was so tender. He gets on the phone, starts building the lineup. I mean, if he calls, you're answering. Hey, Chance the Rapper, I need you. Hey, Tori Kelly, I need you. Hey, Jaden Smith, he starts building all of this lineup. And I mean, it was a wild, no one's ever had this lineup before. And sure enough, he started posting about it. Now, if you don't know anything about that world, all right, if they post on Instagram, just one post from Justin, I clocked it last time. It was like 630 grand. That's what you have to pay for him to post. Ronaldo's millions, Messi's millions, Mr. Beast's millions.
Yeah.
And those guys don't normally post for just anybody. And so they're paying big money. So he's posting for free. I mean, he's posting stories on his feed, tagging us, links everywhere. Serve, get ready to serve. We're going to take on Los Angeles. Come on, it's love has no limit. I mean, it's like, and then because he's doing it, guess what happens? All the Kardashians start doing it. All the Lakers start doing it. We have all these collabs start happening with all these tier 1 influencers. And so we had royal family members from other nations calling, going, can we come? We're Justin Bieber's fans. Can we come? And we're like, well, the only way you can get in the stadium wasn't buying tickets or giving a certain amount. The only way was through serving. So we were discipling an entire city of let's take responsibility and the church, spiritual responsibility of our sphere of influence. So what we did is you could only get in the stadium if you had a wristband. And you had to serve a minimum of 4 hours to get a wristband. And that got you into the stadium.
That's incredible.
Nobody was exempt. Nobody got in for free. I mean, I watched Kylie Jenner pull up in Watts in her orange Lamborghini, right? Real subtle. And
no big deal.
And start serving. And she was only supposed to serve 4. She served 8 hours. Haley Bieber served 8 hours because Justin got stuck in rehearsals. So she served her 4 and his 4. Everybody served. I had people trying to buy their way in. Chris, we'll give this much money. I'm like, dude, my 4 kids are serving.
Yeah.
Like, I can't.
Yeah.
So everybody served. So when we came in that night, there's this excitement, this hope that was rising. And the whole night was tailored for an encounter with Jesus. And so you might have seen a lot of the videos where Justin's standing, there's a cross. It's called the Freedom Project. Yeah. That was a collaboration between us, even though we had none of our branding on it, and we didn't want it.
Yeah.
And Justin and what they were doing. And I can say this now, but Justin came in with a lot of, how do I say this? He was pretty much informed, do not say Jesus. And if you've seen the video, he's up there going, Jesus, Jesus, Jesus on the mic. The point I'm trying to make is we watched a radical situation take place, and we turned on the live stream because we wanted to turn the stadium into a studio, and 500 million people watched it. 500 million. And so we thought, maybe this is a blueprint. Maybe this is a model for America. Well, fast forward a couple years, we did it in Houston. We took over the Toyota Center where the Houston Rockets played. We had Tim McGraw and Parker McCullum and Connor Smith and Toby Nwigwe and I mean all these guys. Faruko and Tori came out again. We're now in South Florida doing Miami, and we're going for America's most significant cities. And Love Has No Limits is an all call for churches to collaborate together. We've got every denomination, every sphere, everyone represented, whether no matter what their theological background and creed. It's time to have a united church. And a divided church is a stoppable church, but a united church is an unstoppable church.
So good.
And so we're watching that in real time. And so our model is, and really focus is to seek, serve, solve, and save. And That's what we're doing in these cities,
that.
and we're watching mass mobilization. We're trending. We'll probably activate 1 million, what we call good neighbors now, missionaries, 1 million missionaries just in America this year. So
That's wild.
yeah, big dreams.
That's crazy.
Big
honestly.
goals. Yeah.
That is.
Sorry, I water hosed everybody.
It's okay.
But that's Love Has No Limits.
Just like that.
I love, don't get me wrong, all of the artists that we're connected with now, one's named and even some that are not, like, they are still wanting to be a part of Love Has No Limits. But LA was huge.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
LA
What a
was
great
like-
place to.
I mean,
Get
I
going.
remember standing on the stage. I'm doing whatever I'm supposed to be doing on the mic, and I'm looking, and there's Conor McGregor and his family in the front row. And then there's all the Kardashians. There's the Lakers. There's the Warriors. There's 32 out of 34 mayors. There's the top 200 social media accounts across all social media are right here. I mean, it's just stadium full, and I'm thinking, only God
Yeah.
can dream. How does he
Yeah.
think of this stuff? Like,
But all those people.
all those all of that influence in one place, and they're all hearing about Jesus.
Right.
When I tell you the tears I saw coming down the people's faces, it would shock you. The movies that they're making, the music that you think they're about, the lives that you think, I'm telling you, just absolutely transformed, wrecked. It was powerful. No one's been the same. Not
Wow,
me.
That's incredible.
It broke every religious bone I thought I didn't have. Because I thought my job, I'm probably making some religious people mad by saying this, but I thought my job was, let me introduce the church to the world. And it was actually backwards. I was actually introducing the world to the church because the church had no idea it was this bad.
Yeah. And I think it's like what you say too, if we talk about doing a homeless outreach, and saved or not, everybody has that inside of them if like there's a need that needs to be met. And I think it's the same way too, regardless of the followers or the status of things, I think everybody that you share the gospel with them, and we have that same of like, there's something that if this isn't right, that we realize it needs to get right, and we don't know. And I think that that's just so cool that you're able to do that. One thing that you talked about was, talking about the foster program and some of that stuff. I know one thing really near and dear to your heart is orphans. And you shared a little bit this morning. How much? 300?
Through Angel House, it has 325 have been built.
Wow.
Or funded and built.
That is,
and which is
some
unreal.
of these numbers that you say, you just say them so casually.
Well, it's
You're like millions of pounds of food, 300, and I'm just like,
you know why?
10,000 missionaries, and I'm just like,
you know how many times I say this?
Yeah.
Every day
Yeah, I know.
when I'm on the phone with donors or pastors or a mayor of the city or all that kind of stuff. And the truth, I'm still just as excited to say it right now as I was the first time I saw it happen.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, orphans. My mom grew up was really raised in her teenage years in a home for abused and neglected kids. The woman who I would credit leading our entire family to Jesus was the woman who started this home with her husband. Her husband died shortly after that. She carried on the vision. I would not be a Christian today if it wasn't for who I call Grandma Georgia. And Grandma Georgia prayed us in. And we are not blood related at all, but we take care of her because that's Grandma. Mm-hmm. And I would say that's probably where it got instilled, because I would go over on the weekends. My mom stayed connected and, wasn't one of those kids that just left, but she just called her mom, and that became Grandma. And so we'd go over on the weekends and see her. And, it was a beautiful thing. And that's why the angel houses that our kids raise money for, we call them Houses of Cornelius. And the reason why is because that's what my mom's home was called, House of Cornelius.
Oh, that's beautiful.
That's cool.
So, yeah, yes, I have a
I'm glad you
soft
shared that, because this
spot.
morning I saw the name and I was like, I wonder what the thought behind the name of how that. So
Well, you go read about Cornelius. Remember, they dedicated themselves to the
Right.
Word and to prayer,
Sure.
and they became close to God. So that's
great.
kind of the
That's
vision
awesome.
behind it.
And so then this morning, to wrap it around full circle a little bit, you've got a new shirt on.
Yes.
Yeah, you do.
I got a new shirt on.
Yeah, you do.
Caden's behind the camera. He's got a new shirt
Let's
on.
go.
And so this morning we get there, and first and foremost, before we get here at 7 or 8 o'clock, and people are coming through.
7 or 8 o'clock.
Well, we're here by 7 normally.
Don't let your boss hear that.
Yeah.
We could just.
You were here at
just
7.
roll
I had to pick up the cafe stuff, so I was here at 8 this morning.
All right.
But so anyways, so I get there, people are looking at your table, and everybody's like, "This stuff's actually cool." Because look, here's the deal: if you're
I'm
in
proud to
church,
say that.
look, if you're in church, you've bought beads. You bought the bracelets, and they're like, I don't want to spend $15 for bracelets.
That you will not wear.
Yeah,
It's going to end up on your nightstand until you're like,
how about I
I'm
just give you a
throwing it away.
20 and
That's
just
exactly
call it
right.
good?
And I'll get a brownie.
Yeah. And people walk in there, they're like, this stuff's sick. They're like, this is actually sick.
Yeah.
And then people are like, $50 for a shirt. And I'm like, here it comes. And they're like, this stuff's sick. And they just keep on. So people are buying stuff before first service even gets going. And they're like, what's the money going to? And at this point, I'm just like, oh, it's different ministries. Like, and then we get in service and we come back out afterwards. And the line is just
I
crazy,
looked up
man.
at one point and I was like, where did all these people come from?
Yeah, you go to church here?
Who are you? Did you just come
And
in?
people
like,
buying the curriculum, they were like, how much is this? And it's like $95, for it. And which we have, I think that we got gifted several years ago at YFN,
Did you?
the Kingdom Identity.
Did you? Okay.
I think that was a
Yes.
youth pastor thing that
Yep,
we got
that's right,
gifted.
yep.
And so we've worked through that. And so we saw it on the table. And so I was like, telling people, I'll take it. I'll take it. Let me tell you, nope, I'll take it. And I'm just like, who are you people? Go off. Pop off.
Can I just say, though, like, I'm so done with cheesy church merch.
Come on.
Yes.
I am done with the scriptures on the bottom, everything,
Blessed.
and
Come
never put a
on.
date on
Where's
your
my white
merch shirt. I'm
hanky?
telling you, like, I am so, like, the world looks at us and laughs. But then when people pop off and they try to clap back on the $50, I'm like, how much you pay for that essential shirt? How much you pay for that shirt at Zara? How much I'm like, that's about $50. Except what we're doing is we're not making a profit. We're pointing it towards these orphans. And so last year, our whole family, we found out that our orphanage got completed, and really it was like less than 60, might have been 45 days notice. Hey, do you want to go and do the dedication? A window had opened up, and so it all worked out that all of our families, so all 6 of us, my wife and 4 kids, and then my mother-in-law and my father-in-law got on a plane to India.
That's beautiful.
Flew over there. And I'm telling you, we were on. It was too dangerous for us to actually be there and physically stay there. We could only be on the ground maybe 3 hours, and then had to get on a plane and leave.
Wow.
It was because it's right on the border
Man.
of Bangladesh and
Sure.
anyways, so those I don't think I didn't cry for. There was I
just
can't remember a
cried
moment.
nonstop.
All I did was cry.
Yeah.
And it wasn't necessarily like it was a proud dad moment. If you know the story, our kids raised the money. But like it was more the fact that I saw what they slept in. They took the cans of like Coke and Sprite and cut the tops and bottom off and split it and put it as walls. So that was like their sheetrock.
Wow.
They were sleeping in that in jungle heat. I mean, that's the girls. The guys were sleeping in a mud hut, smelt like pee the whole time. That just for them to go in when I tell you we cut the ribbon and they ran in and picked their bed. None of them had ever had their own bed or
Right.
their own pillow. It was the first concrete building in the jungle, first one with electricity, first time most of those villagers had ever seen a fan in a room. I mean, it was just something like, oh my God, you like
Right.
the pillow? You're like,
And I'm like, I gotta go buy more shirts now.
yeah. And the truth is like, it's not even just like, yes, please buy shirts. It's more like, help us help these kids. There's only 3 paths outside of this. It's you end up in sex trafficking, you end up in child slavery, which is cheap labor, or you end up in a life of poverty. Because kids are, you find kids sleeping under a tree or under a car at night. It's just an epidemic in a lot of parts of the world. And so it's a real problem. But man, Lindsay Russo, who is the wife of who would be like our CEO for Love Has No Limits, Dominic Russo, she went to India and was so moved. You guys need to go check out angelhouse.me.
Okay.
And shout out to Angel House. It's obviously an arm of Missions Me. I would rep Angel House even if I didn't.
Yeah.
But when we did that first orphanage, and now that we've done this second, it's ruined us. And when I say ruined, I mean we can never go back. And so now I don't know, we're just dreaming into what could God do through these angel houses even further.
Sure.
And how can the Estrada tribe, play a role? But really the real hero of the story is everyone that buys a shirt or everyone that gives on Angel House. Lindsay, you should go hear Lindsay's story. I mean, just the way that God put this vision in her heart. It's beautiful what God did and has continued to do, and just how it's continued to scale. And so proud of the work that, like, you hear Love Has No Limits and you're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Then you hear about Angel House, then you hear about One Nation One Day and Missions Me, and you're just like,
And I'm even more like, how did I even get an hour with you here?
yeah.
It's like,
the truth is,
How did we get you to Arkansas?
I'll tell you this, I felt sent here.
yeah.
And I said that this morning, right? Like, I don't want to just go where I've been invited. I want to go where I feel sent. Because I think there's a knitting. I really feel like talking with, your parents, your pastors, talking with the team here, it seems like there's similar alignment. And so River of Life, I just feel like, man, this is a church that we need to pull into the conversation with Love Has No Limits early. Because what if we could...
It's literally what I was sitting here
Like,
thinking.
we need to, have you guys come to one of our leaders retreats, or have you guys be a part of helping us, and let's stand up the vision together. And I feel like that, to me, is how this thing works.
Absolutely.
And so, but it's all done through relationships. We don't do major ads.
Right.
We don't do...
Oh, and that's even
spots.
how,
Yeah.
even like this, we've joked about it a lot of how you even got here. You come walking through, I'm like, all right, so how did you guys even find out
I
about
was
me?
like,
And
how do we know each other?
We
'Cause
start,
I'm confused.
We start sharing mutual people, and then you mentioned last night of Dustin Bates, Jamie Bates is going to be here for our ladies' conference in September.
What?
Her and
Yeah.
Tracy Mitchell.
Small world.
No way!
So we're like, I'm like, yeah, Jamie's going to be here in like a few
But
months.
she doesn't know
She
us.
does not. Yeah.
How did
So
you
it's
guys...
going to be this whole
How
thing
did you find
of
out about Jamie?
we met
YFN.
her at YFN.
Of course. Wait.
Through you.
That's right. When we had her
You
preach,
had
her
at YFN.
preach.
Can I tell you a story? First off, Jamie
Shout
is
out
one
to
of
Dustin and Jamie.
Dustin and
Like,
Jamie.
Oh.
You guys are, that's the church we go
they're
to.
gonna
That's our
be
home
they're
church.
gonna be family once they come.
Oh,
They're gonna
100%.
realize we're not crazy people.
Oh no, they
and
won't.
You can give a good word for us.
Jamie's never met. No one's. Everybody feels like Jamie's best friend.
Yeah.
You could walk in a room and she'd change the room.
Honestly, like listening to her podcast, I'm like, I feel like I could call her up and be like,
She's like, hey girl.
hey, what's
yeah,
up?
that's Jamie. I will say this: Jamie is one of the most phenomenal Bible teachers
Oh yes.
on the planet, and I remember I had to almost twist her arm, breaking it. Like, I need you to preach at YFN. Can you preach at YFN? And she, Jamie's, believe it or not, she's very humble. And I always say believe it or not because you probably look at things and you see her online or you see what they've done with 1132 and just this juggernaut of a church. My kids are serving there. It's like that's the church we go to as a family. And so, but you talk about two people, Dustin and Jamie, who have paid a huge price to have what God's entrusted them with. And her heart, she's honestly, I know she pastors a church with Dustin. She's really a missionary.
Yes.
And you're going to love Jamie. She's phenomenal.
We're excited to have her.
Yeah.
I'm really excited
She's
for it.
incredible.
On kind of the last note of stuff here, talking about YFN in the summer and some of these things, that's kind of how we even got connected with you. And even before, like, you've got way more YFN experience than even I do and stuff. But this summer, man, we are so excited.
Let's go.
Again to be taking students back to CFNI, to YFN. We've been there through all the eras of the G of Mary Martha, of back when you used to have somebody cross the street with you.
Yep.
And it's like now you can't even go anywhere by yourself,
Hey,
pastors included.
I'm a real OG that I remember swim tests
Oh my gosh.
and the
your
rules videos.
yes.
the rules videos
I
were
had you had
great.
to get a band if you took
Yes.
the swim test.
The rules video that used to, can I just say something about the rules video? If
Please.
there's pastors that are watching, you're welcome.
Yes.
Because you used to have to sit through a 2-hour orientation
Yeah.
that was boring. I would rather die than
Yes.
go through the orientation. It was terrible.
Yeah.
And so we created this rules video, and then it was, you watch it, it's 20 minutes. Then it was like, let's just send it ahead of time
Yeah.
and have them sign an NDA that says, hey, we had everybody watch the rules video. And it was even shorter than that. And it was like, all they have to do is register, pick up your keys, and you're off to camp.
It's good.
Yeah. You're welcome.
It's the best. Shout out.
What was so crazy is this last year, we went down to YFM. It had been a little bit since we had gone with the whole like off-campus housing and all that kind of stuff
Sure.
that went on. We were the only two in our whole group of 50 people that had ever been to YFN.
We took a 2-year break from youth pastoring. We did young adults ministry.
Okay.
And then a bunch of transition happened back into youth ministry. And it's like, we're going back to YFN. We took kids here for years. And then we're looking around. It's like, nobody's
So
been.
we had never, none of the kids, none of our youth staff had ever been before. It was just us. And I thought, what are we doing? It's the largest group we've ever taken, and no one has been here before.
You guys.
And there's like, we want to go to the beach. I'm like, no, we're going to YFN. We're going to Dallas. We're going to the Hood.
I promise
You're going to love
you're
it.
gonna love
We're like,
it.
no, we want to go to the beach. I'm like, just, if you hate it, never come back.
Yeah.
And all of them are like, can we go to week 2?
Yeah.
How can I get signed up for next week?
Yep.
I want to be in the core.
Every time. And let's be honest. First off, shout out to CFNI, the
Yes.
Lindsay family. YFN would not exist if it
Right.
wasn't for Mom Lindsay, Dennis and Ginger, Golan, Hani, Missy, and Golan, Chrissy, Hani, Missy. Like, there is so much to be said to that. But when you drive on the campus, you're like,
so
this is it?
Sometimes I don't tell the parents. Like, do not Google the campus. Okay?
I have seen students and their parents come for orientation for college and drive in and drive out. You are not staying here. And you know what? I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. But the truth is, I went to school. I am a graduate of Christ for the Nation. So if you're wondering the quality, I don't know if this is good or bad, but I am a product of CF&I. And they're proud of that, so I'm happy to say that.
Yes.
So,
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, we are so excited to
gonna
be
be good.
taking kids. And then, lo and behold, they dropped the week 1 speakers. And
Here we are.
I was like, he texted me that night. He was like, did you know that the guy that's coming to preach is also? And I was like, I'm just seeing this post at the same time. So this summer is going to be awesome. If you're a parent watching or listening, just get your kids signed up.
Yes.
Look,
Can I say something to that?
Please.
Because I know there are parents watching.
Absolutely.
Let me just tell you, I had a parent come to me one time and go, I just don't understand why my kid don't want to have anything to do with church, and they don't want to be in the room, and they don't want to be at youth, and they don't want to go to camp, and they don't want to do it. And I'm thinking, have they ever been to a youth service? Have you ever made them go to camp? And they're like, no. Have they been to football camp? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They've been to cheerleading camp? Oh, yeah. Have they ever been to that? And I'm going down a list and band and everything else. And I'm like, you've invested. You're getting what you sowed into. And so if you're more about getting them into baseball or soccer, and then you're wondering why they worship that as an idol more than they do Jesus, it's because what you emphasized. And so I want to challenge you, parents. I send my kids to camp. All right. So and my kids are involved in sports and other things, but I send my kids to camp, and my kids grew up in camp. They had no choice. They had smoking camps that sometimes they come. All right. But I will tell you this, the fruit from those camps, even in my kids' life as the camp speaker, still speak to them today. Yes. And I promise you, a time spent at church camp is never time wasted.
Yes.
I got saved at Youth for the Nations, where they're taking your kids. All right. So it is good soil. And I co-sign that anytime, anywhere across the planet. Youth for the Nations, hands down, one of the greatest camps on the planet.
Absolutely. 100%.
There is a core memory for me from YFN. So I think you were probably, I don't know if you were assistant or director at the time, but Josh Carter came in.
Yep.
And did we take kids down? Were we youth pastors that year?
We may have been. I don't remember.
Staff? And he preached that night about the filling of baptism of the Holy Spirit.
Mm-hmm.
And
when he gets to growling when he's preaching,
you know it's gonna be good.
And Josh is a friend, so I know exactly what you're talking
when
about.
the growl comes out, you're like, okay,
let's have church.
Just Google Josh Carter.
Yes.
Do yourself a favor. Google Josh Carter.
So he's preaching, and he gets to the end of his sermon, and he's like, I feel like the Holy Spirit is going to do something in this room. And he's like, it's completely different than what my notes. I just feel like we're just going off cuff here. And he was like, I want everyone in this building to stand. And there's 1,700 kids in this room, you know? And we were in the back that year, I remember. And he starts praying, and he's like, I believe that there's just a wave that's going to take place. And he starts praying. And the moment he says, on the count of 3, I feel like the Holy Spirit, Pastor Chris, the whole place just fell out.
Boom.
I mean,
Like
it
dominoes.
was like dominoes.
Yeah.
Kids
From
just
the front to the back.
all the way. And I remember when it got to the back, it was just chills. And I was like, holy cow. And I remember looking at him and being like, this is a history moment that I feel
very much.
This. And from then on, for us in our marriage and our ministry, I believe it was just this is what I want kids to experience. I want them to encounter this week after week. And so...
Wow. You know what? You bring that up. I remember that night.
Yeah.
I remember talking to John, because he came off the stage. He was dripping.
Oh, he was
sweat. I mean, we have 400 lights on the stage. You know, it's so much hot. It's heated. Yes. All right? You feel like a piece of chicken up there, all right? But... he comes off the stage, and I was like, yo. And
the whole place was just speechless.
It was. I mean, and that's what it was. I remember he walked out, it was quiet at a youth camp.
Yeah.
Which that doesn't happen. And I'll never forget. We get in the green room, like, yo. And he's like, I don't know, except God. He don't know how to explain it.
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't even eat. We just got in the car, and we drove him to his room.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, parents, those are the moments that mark your kids. That's what marked me. It's marked my kids. My kids come back. Dad, you remember that one night?
Yeah.
Yep.
And I think, honestly, I think people have downplayed camp because it's for one reason or another. But do not sleep on camp.
And sign-up's about to close.
That's right.
So
It's
you
getting
better
close. $100 deposit to get your spot locked up. We'll figure it out from there.
Yeah.
So that's
no excuses.
Yep.
Your student's not doing anything. Let's just be honest.
yeah.
Exactly.
They can find out a week. They can find 5 days.
Yeah.
To drive up to camp and back.
And you can find a week to not stop at 7 Brew and get coffee, and you can afford it.
That's right. Is that how much does it cost a week of camp? It's got to cost a week of camp.
I'm sure. I mean, if it's like what, $7 for one coffee?
Yeah, for small. So
wow.
Yeah, so get your kids to camp. Be there with us. Be there with Pastor Chris.
Yeah.
It's going to be an awesome week. Pastor Chris, thank you so much for.
Oh, it's my honor.
This has been so much fun, and truly, I am grateful that you've just agreed to sit in with us on this.
Yeah.
It's been a ton of fun, and I can't wait. One thing I did want to ask as we're closing this out. If people do want to buy shirts, can they get online? I've shopped your website. I've seen some of your books and some of that stuff.
Go to chrisestrada.tv. So it's my name, .tv. And you can go to the store, and the store's got all the shirts. We have some new designs that are not on there. They're here at the church. So if you got one, you got one. But they will be uploaded, I think, here at the end of this month or something like that. We always try to beta test them a little bit and kind of go, okay, what tweaks can we make? But yes, go to the website, buy the shirts, buy the books, buy the curriculums. And I have full confidence in telling you to buy this stuff, not because it's ours or it benefits us. I can tell you it has changed lives. That book right there, I saw a group of people reading my book in a hut in Cambodia.
Wow.
And they sent a picture, like, we're doing a Bible study on your book. I've seen people going through, like, they were looking for houses and doing a walkthrough, and one of my books was on their nightstand. And they're like, bro, your book's here. Like, this is crazy. Like, and it was a pastor friend of mine. And he's like, oh, your book's here. Like, it's crazy. Oh, it was Manny Orango. And he was like, dude, your book's here. This is wild. You're a superstar. Keep going. Like, he's so encouraging. But the point is that I'm fully confident because I didn't write that book. I was the first guy to get to read it. God gave me this, and he told me to write it down. And so it blesses people. It's blessed so many, and I want you to carry what it's promised to carry.
Absolutely. It's great stuff. Yeah. And if I didn't believe in it, I wouldn't push it either on here. Yeah. And everything that he's doing is great. So yeah, thanks to you so much for just being on. Mikala, thank you for sitting in with us. As always, Caden, I know you're not seen, but thank you for all that you do, for making sure that all this looks good, sounds good.
Absolutely.
Hey, if you've enjoyed today's episode, let somebody know. Don't just keep it to yourself. Share it with somebody. Be sure to follow us, as always, on all your popular streaming platforms. But if you want to see the hat designs, YouTube's your only place you're going to see it. If you want to see those shirts, YouTube's the only place that you're going to see it. So be a part of it on that. Thank you so much for watching, for listening, and we'll see you on the next one.